Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle. Yeah. Knock you out as I stare at myself in the mirror.
Hey, Nocturnal here. I've just recently got my hands on some Qanba Gravity KS Buttons that a good friend of mine kindly gifted me, and I was excited to try them. After a couple of hours of gameplay, I came across multiple issues, and I did as one does, go onto Google and find out if anyone was having any of the same problems that I was, and if there was any fixes for them. I was getting miss inputs, I was getting double presses, I was getting weird resonating sounds throughout the arcade stick. I was getting squeaky tops pressing the buttons. Some didn't do it, and then after a couple of hours of gameplay, it would start to do it. So one of these I have done already. These ones currently in my stick are fixed and are not doing any of those issues anymore. I can't be the only one that's figured out how to fix these buttons from stopping doing what they're doing. But a lot of the comments in those Reddit posts were asking, have you found a fix, have you found a fix, have you found a fix? And there hasn't seemed to be any reply. So this is going to be my fix and my reply. So the first fix is going to be the squeaky top. Now these ones aren't doing it. I had only 4 buttons in total doing the squeaky top, and my conclusion for these buttons and some of them doing that is it's going to be the metallic coating in the paint and the paint rubbing on itself and making the squeakiness. Disclaimer, caution, all of that. For the squeaky top parts, you are going to be doing some damage to the actual button itself. So you'll be needing a flathead screwdriver, some pre-popped bubble wrap, some tweezers for the bubble wrap, some 1500 grit sandpaper, and 400 grit sandpaper. This is to stop the squeak. So again, this button at the moment isn't doing the squeak, but I did have two out of the 4 buttons squeak later on. I'm just going to remove the switch. There's the switch. Now, even when I press the switch itself, holding it in between my fingers, if I'm pressing it hard enough, I can feel it vibrating between my fingers. So I believe that's the vibrating mixed with it going into, now again, back to the Reddit posts. Apparently with metal base plate arcade sticks, it resonates, which makes sense. It resonates a lot more. So we'll take apart this switch. These clips on either side do not require any amount of force to lift up. Please be very careful. I'm sure you could snap these if you are too heavy-handed. I'm basically just using the weight of my screwdriver to lift up those clips on either side. Good thing about these switches is there's barely any at all moving parts. You've just got the spring, the base, and then the 2 housings for the top part. And we'll leave those there for now. For the squeaky top cap fix, which I believe is only pertaining to the metallic finish on this and how inconsistent they seem to be, it's the paint actually rubbing against each other and causing the squeaky. So we are going to get our 400 grit sandpaper. We are going to sand down those clips, just removing that top layer of paint. Paint finish and the thickness of the paint finish seems to be inconsistent. Why I was getting some squeaking and some not squeaking, and I think it's purely the metallic finish. I could be completely wrong here, but if you are having this issue and it's with a clear set of buttons, then I'm wrong, because the clear buttons shouldn't have a finish. It's just dyed plastic. But if you're having it with painted buttons, colored solid buttons, then go ahead and do this, because it's definitely the paint finish. So we're going to do that on the top. And then we're going to do where those clips ride on the inside, just back and forth. I'm barely even putting any amount of pressure, and that paint has been removed. Now we get our 1500 grit sandpaper. I hope the video doesn't seem like I'm rushing through this too much. I have tried recording this 2 times previously, and it's gone over in time way more than I would have liked. So I'm trying to get these fixes out to people that really do need to fix these bloody buttons, because honestly, I really like the feel of these buttons, but man, the inconsistencies between these buttons and the issues and the excuses and possible fixes online that I was coming across, and no one actually posting a fix and just saying return them. Oh, I've switched to a different button, I've switched to my Seimitsu buttons, I've switched to my Sanas, and I'll never use KS again. It's annoying. Once you're done with the 1500 grit, just run your finger on them. It should be nice and smooth. We'll leave that to the side. Let's get to the fix of the switch. So the first one you can do, and the very easiest, again, if you don't have this issue, you can just go straight to the switch. You get the spring and you stretch it. You stretch it until you start feeling a little bit of resistance, and then just stretch a little bit past that. And then we're going to go to the top part and do the same until there's resistance, and just go back, flip it over, go to the other side, stretch until you feel resistance. That's already been stretched quite a bit. What I like to do for good measure is go back to the ends and then just a little bit. So that's probably been increased and stretched probably a good extra 5 mil. You can put that back together and see how that fares with you. I did notice that when doing that, the resonating did stop slightly, but I was still getting it. And I was still getting the double presses here and there. They were less likely, but I was still getting it. This is the part I believe that completely fixes the double presses. Pre-popped bubble wrap. And then we're going to tear off a little bit here. Tear that in half. And these, you're going to roll up. Grab with your tweezers. Grab the base of the switch, and you're going to place it on this side here. There's the actual connection that happens when the switch activates. You're going to place it in this corner, push down, and move to the side ever so slightly. You do not want to move this switch too much. Push down and to the side. The reason I say to the side is because these corners here are the corners needed for this part of the switch to ride and go down. So you do not want that being obstructed by the bubble wrap. And then we're going to do the same for the other side. Roll it up a little bit and do the exact same on the other side. Push down. And then to the side, leaving space in the corner there. And then that should be a dampened switch. So I believe this part's also resonating. This little ring here that's resonating. The actual space between where it activates is so tiny. It's probably less than a mil, or just about a mil. So mixed with the spring being so loose and barely getting any bounce back, I feel like the spring with this resonating together was activating that little tiny piece of metal to hit the base and activate again. So I was probably not having issues with some of these, but then pressing one hard enough would activate the one underneath it or any other ones surrounding it. So it seemed to be very inconsistent. But what we're going to do now is just put the switch back together. Now I'm sure you can use foam or just anything soft to put in here. I'm not sure. Again, I've only got bubble wrap, and bubble wrap's what I use, and it's working. It's fixed my issue, and hopefully fixes your issue. So if you've got a very little piece of foam, I'm sure that could work. inside the actual Qanba tins, it comes with some little foam, some high density foam. I believe that's what you call it. That thickness is probably close to about 2 millimeters. I'm sure you could probably cut out a little tiny strip and place that in there. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it, but I don't see how that could do any harm for giving that a go. So if you don't have any bubble wrap, Qanba gives you the fixing material, fixing materials right there. Also, another cool tip is you actually get 2 of these. So you get one that sits on the top, and if you lift out this whole foam part, you actually get another one that sits at the bottom. The reason why I think that's cool is this is actually close to the exact width you want when making your own silent pads. If you have Salma buttons, this is a Salma button right here. These ones, these silver ones are Qanba. This one down here, that's Salma. That's been modified with a circular pad that I cut out myself of this, and I've made my own Salma silent button. Qanba, Salma. And these are your standard Salmas for comparison. Anyway, just a cool little tip that I found, and they literally give you some materials to modify, which I thought was kind of cool. Back to the switch. The switch goes back in. The clips that are on either side of this switch face out towards where the clip for the top part goes in. So that goes in there. You're gonna hear what? Oh no, there we go. That's all in one. Usually you take 1 or 2, and then we're gonna get the rubber ring. That goes only in. That does go in both directions, but for it to actually sit properly, it only goes in one way properly. And then the top of the button goes in, and then that should be, even just by pressing it, again, I'm pressing this and I am not feeling it vibrate, I'm not feeling it resonate. I know from my testing and doing it to these that this is a fixed Qanba Gravity KS button. So again, caution, disclaimer, please be careful doing any of this. Anything can go wrong. I don't want you damaging these buttons. These are awesome buttons, and it sucks that we got to do what we got to do to make these work. I'm sure the majority of people out there that use these buttons on a daily basis do not have this issue. I think there's just an inconsistency. I don't really know why, but all I know is this thing that I did, this fixes it. So hopefully this fixes it for you. But yes, just please take your time in doing any of this. Anything can go wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please let me know with anything, with any questions or anything that I might have missed. But yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye bye.